So,
It is.
what it?
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
It's Las Cafeteras. Let's start by having you both tell us who you are, introduce yourselves. We're coming together again. We've known each other for about a decade now.
Wow.
Give or
Past
take.
a few
Yeah.
time.
We're
Right, we're
the
aging
cutest
ourselves a
band,
little bit.
cutest band out of East LA. We have La Reina del Barrio, the one and only.
Is that me? Okay. Hi, I'm Denise Carlos from Las Cafeteras, from Southeast LA, and tour around the world.
Yeah. And I'm Hector El Feo Más Beo with Las Cafeteras. Yeah.
So for many people have become familiar with your work, and some people are new to it and are getting introduced to it even during this tour. So bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got started, and what your musical journey is looking like right now on this tour.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna go rapid.
Just that, right?
We met in college as community activists, as organizers for environmental justice, gender justice, immigrant rights, and youth organizing. And we kind of fell in love at that time with this folk style of music. It's called son jarocho, and um, and so because we were already organizing and doing work, this folk music allowed us to like sing folk songs, like traditional songs, and also write our own verses. And we kind of loved it. Like we loved bringing music to the movement. Music has always been a big part of like movement work all over the world, whether it's in South Africa, fighting apartheid, or in the South with gospel songs and hymns, you know and whether it be in Latin America with Victor Jara, And so we were just part of that legacy, and just little by little. Um, oh, okay. You want to know a cool story?
Oh man.
Of course. Yes.
Okay, this will be short because I think it helps.
Okay.
So many years ago, we opened up for Carla Morrison when she was coming up, and there was a Japanese homeboy named Shin at the show, and he takes bands out to Japan, like Chicano bands and culture and artists. And he said to us after the show, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. Do you want to go to Japan?" And we said, yeah. And then he said, "Okay, do you have an album?" And we said, "No." "Do you have a website?" "No." "Do you have what do you say? Do you have a music video?" We said, "No." He said, "Okay, get me those three things and I'll take you to Japan." And so we're like, "Oh, okay. Why don't we record like 4 traditional songs, do an EP, and let's go to Japan?" That was the idea. But we ended up.
What year are we talking about, Hector?
This is like 2010, 2011.
2008, 2009.
No.
Yeah, because we did the live recording at La Cita in 2009 that we never speak of, by the way.
But then it's 2010 then. That's what I'm saying. 2010, 2011. Because the album came out 2012.
The real album.
The album came out, yeah.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is we actually then started writing our own songs, recorded traditional songs, and we ended up with 5 traditional songs, 5 originals. We did a 10-song album. We put it out. Long story short, we never went to Japan, but that was what began this performance group, and us like recording music and playing live in a way that we weren't doing before as just students of music.
Yeah, it was always a hobby for us. And so, so many years later that we get to do this as our, not just our job, but, we get to go around the country and sometimes different countries and just play this and offer this for different folks. It's such a beautiful, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a mistake, but I know that we didn't even ever imagine this for ourselves, and so we feel
It's kind of like every show's like a dope honor and
yeah, for
experience
sure.
because we never, you meet prodigies, you meet people when they're like
That is not
5. Yeah, when they're 5, like, yo, you
You're gonna go
yeah,
somewhere.
you got it, kid. Like you're meant to do this. And I think in a really beautiful way, if I reflect, we were meant to do many things. We're not meant to do one thing. And there's people in the world that like, yo, you're supposed to do this, and that's what you're here for. I still haven't found it.
You know what? So I dance Mexican folk dance, and so when I was a lot younger, and I was really good at it, they would tell me, tú tienes el don. El don meaning you have, I don't know what
the spirit,
the spirit, thing. You have the thing, right? And this is your thing. so for music and singing, I started this right after grad school. So
Yeah.
I was already in my mid-20s, and I never thought, I don't think I'm the most talented, the most skilled, but what I do think, I saw this interview once and they said like the calling. I think there is a calling for what we're doing. And we always say we're storytellers before we're musicians. And so we really feel like the music, Son Jarocho was an invitation into storytelling through music. But I think it's really guided us to understand we're part of a legacy of artists who are really looking to impact social change. And so, because we're able to reflect on our upbringings, on being from immigrant families, undocumented immigrant families, we also are informed by that experience, and we're able to imagine a world where our families are able to live freely and joyfully. And so, what we want to do in our shows is really offer that. Like, yes, anger is appropriate, and protest is necessary, but also the way that we offer stories and imagination in our music, I think, is what we're meant to do.
And
Coming
also,
out of doing, like, we meant to
but
protesting
I
and being
think
an
like just
artist.
because you go to protest doesn't mean you write good songs. Like I think
For
it's
sure.
like I think there's yes to that, but I think like we have evolved as songwriters,
Claro.
as musicians, as storytellers. So
You have
like
to be responsible to the art, for sure.
yeah, to an extent, yeah, but like it's not just about the struggle. It's not just about we're immigrants and like, yo, we also just want to party and dance till like 3 a.m.
Holistic approach.
So it's like, how do you put the party in the politics?
Mm.
Right. And so I feel in the politics, there's too much anger, there's tension, it's about how we're different. But you get on the dance floor and everybody wants to have a good time. I don't care where you at. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants a two-step. Everybody wants to like,
Yeah.
do-si do and all that jazz. And so like I feel that's the thing. Like we've been able to mix in like really dope, great music with the stories where we're coming from. And I think that's all right.
This is beautiful. We have to unpack some of this because
Oh.
in the many times I've talked with you, we haven't gotten into all these details.
You
Quick
sound like a therapist. I we like it. I like it.
But I'm not. This is just so interesting. And for me, it's the fun fact. I didn't know about Japan or the invitation to go to Japan being a part of your journey. And interesting for me, working class kid from Wisconsin, and I needed a bigger world. And somebody was like, you need to apply for a Kikkoman soy sauce scholarship, which put me into Japan. And so
Wow.
but you never got there.
Yeah.
So, but you called it like, you were like trying to decide which language to apply, and you said it's like a positive mistake or like, but maybe like everything happens for a reason. And so when you look back to your journey, do you think back to like had that person not said, hey, put these songs together and you could do this? Like, was that maybe the push that you needed to get to give yourselves permission to kind of go
I
all out
think
musically?
if it wasn't him, it might have been someone else. But at the time, we were organizers.
Yeah.
We were like Denise was the director of the Gender Sexuality Center at Cal State LA. I was the co-director of youth organizing in East Los Angeles at a nonprofit. We were very involved with a Zapatista and community organizing spaces, and so it wasn't until someone said, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I'd like to take you, but you need to put together a product." Like we never thought about our music as a product. We never thought about recording it
Or ourselves as artists.
Yeah.
We really were.
And I was an anti-band. I was like, yo, we're not a band.
Say it on the mic. We're like, we're not a band.
We're collective. Like it was very, it took a long time,
We
right?
had an identity crisis for sure.
Yes, we did.
And then at some point we're like, all right,
Yeah.
we gotta get it together.
I said that like last week.
I love it. So when you go to your show, I love what you're saying and I love your music, and I haven't met anybody who's experienced it who hasn't. I think like you're saying, there's some folks who just go and they can't help but dance along. And by virtue of doing that, you're going to plant some seeds for people. There's just no way that doesn't happen, right?
Yes.
But you experience dancing, something that feels hip hop-ish. There's rapping, and you're making these very big social justice topics ranging from undocumented issues to gender issues to racism to all these different things. You tell stories in your music with songs, and you reach people in a way that they might not be reached otherwise. what is your sort of your thought process or your like what do you hope somebody is taking from you when they go hear or see your concert or spend time together or just listen to your music?
I think that one is that we're actually a lot more similar than we are different. I think that's the thing. Like I said, like there's a lot of things on the news that tell us about how we're different,
Mm.
but there's a lot of places where like we could see how similar we are, Like if you go to a sports game, there's like people from all backgrounds and all kinds of affiliations, but you're there sitting rooting for a team. You go to a concert and like you're all singing the same song. Nobody's asking, "Hey, where's your mom from? Hey, what language you speak?" That's like, yo, we all love this damn song. We're all singing along, right? And so like music has that special power. So it's not us. It's this thing that exists beyond us. It's music that is able to reach people. And so if you can find a melody, a harmony, a chorus, a hook, that can reach people, then it allows you, it's an invitation. And that's what I think is music is an invitation to join a larger group of people in a common journey of like harmony, right? And so it's kind of dope, and I think as we're like a banging party band, like live. Like our album's cute, but live, we're a banging party band. But I love when people come after and they're like, "Hey, that was a great show, and thank you for the message."
Mm.
Like those two things for me, I'm like, yo, for me, it's like job done. Like that's it. But if you just came to party, down. And if you just heard the
Checked all
message,
the boxes, yeah.
down. But when you
Mm.
do both,
Mm.
is sort of like that's what we're going for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
And
think
and I imagine it's hard not to do both. Sorry, good Denise, you were gonna say something. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no worries. Yeah, I think for me, it really means something when there's people I see in the audience that look like my family, that look like my parents, that probably don't speak English, or young people that maybe don't speak either English or Spanish, well, like I did growing up. I feel like I love those moments of like, oh, there I am, and I see smiles or laughing or like even kind of confused because we go back and forth with the language and the music is all different. And then they come up to us after and they have like some like pride, they're happy to be who they are because they saw themselves in us. Because I see myself in them, and I think there's not enough spaces like that, and there's not enough for me growing up. I didn't have enough bands that like that did that for me, and then especially like little girls, like there's always little girls waiting for me after a show, and that's like the best feeling because as a woman I also don't feel that a lot, or did growing up. And a lot of like yesterday I met this little girl who didn't speak English, Spanish, and her mom didn't speak Spanish, but they have Mexican lineage, and the little girl's name is Sonora. And I was like,
Mm,
she's like, I'm like, what's your name? And she's like, Sonora. And I'm like, Sonora,
wonderful.
like the state? And she looked at her mom and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, my mom was born in Sonora and my parents were married in Sonora. I'm like, and there's a taco place called Sonora Town that I love. And so the mom told me, she's like, you're the first person she's ever met that knew what Sonora was. And the
That's
little girl was so happy. And I'm like, these are the moments that matter because they see us being like fierce and like happy and running around. And then there's also a softness and like an offering of love with our music. But in that moment of her feeling like, oh, somebody knows me and I don't have to
Mm,
always explain myself, I felt it's such a belonging. And I feel like with our music, yes, let's have fun, somatic release, we all need it. And I love it. But like in the moments of belonging, I think that's where I'm like, oh, yeah, this means so much.
no,
that's beautiful. Both and it's really truly a both and world, right? You get to do all the things.
Mhm.
no.
So a couple more philosophical questions, and then I want to talk about just your tour that you're on and the music that you're putting out right now. Um,
Mhm.
maybe we're going to do that first because as I was prefacing my question, I lost it. So I'll come back to it. Talk
Sorry,
about,
guys.
oh, I know, I have it. I have it. So we're in a place where there's a lot of conflict, there's social tension all around. Sometimes we have cancel culture where sometimes we're trying to cancel each other. And also there it feels like there needs to be space to talk and dialogue and sit in the uncomfortable spaces. How do you think that music or your music in particular might make that possible? to lean into the uncomfortable and grapple or dance or what have you?
I think there's a lot of ways to approach a conversation, and it's less about a conversation. It's really about someone's like level of understanding. So I feel like someone might not be ready to talk about something, and that's cool. They might not be ready today. They might not be ready tomorrow. They might be ready in maybe a couple of years. Everybody's on their own timeline. So one, everybody has to realize that not everybody's on the same path. Not everybody's trying to learn the same thing, and that's cool. Like you have to be on your own and not worry so much about others, right? So I think that's one. And then two is like our music is an offering, again, is an invitation. Someone who's not ready, like we play in a lot of red states. We play in a lot of places that are super conservative, and we come with a really like open love, like loving agenda of like, yo, peace, love, justice. Um, and sometimes that's what people need. Maybe that's when you said earlier, like you're planting seeds.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like we're fucking gardeners, and like we're planting seeds all over the country, and we are not going to see the fruits of that tree, but we were part of planting seeds along the way, and I think that's all right. And hopefully, the seed down the line produces a fruit and a conversation that is fruitful
Hmm.
for that human being.
That's
And
beautiful.
and so like that, we all have our roles. And like before, we used to be really rooted in LA, and we're not as much because we're always on the road. We just did a rally in Philadelphia to save Chinatown from the 76ers arena that's trying to take off half the community and like gentrify it. And so we were at a rally there with like 3,000 people, and they reached out to us because they knew we were coming to town, and
That's
we went.
amazing. And you went.
And we
You
went.
were
It was
invited to show up and you showed up. Sometimes the act of showing up is an act of
and we
resistance.
just happened to it just happened to work out. It just happened to our show was that night, the rally was in the morning. We traveled 3 states to get there early in the morning, and we made it. We played some songs, and we joined a 3,000 person rally, of like diverse rally to save Chinatown. It's like we don't like that's our role right now. I remember one time someone was like during the Black Lives Matter protest, um, someone was like, "Where's Kendrick Lamar? How come he's not at the protest?" And he got a lot of criticism. I remember one homeboy saying, "Kendrick Lamar's in the studio making music for us. Kendrick Lamar is playing his role, and his role is to keep on creating music so that we can feel proud when we were walking down the streets and we can chant and sing his songs and things like that." And I thought that was really dope, because a lot of times in the movement they want you to do everything, but we have to understand everybody has their role, and what is your strength, and even what is the areas, not weakness, but you can prove on. But really, everybody has a strength, and if you're clear on your role, do that well, and don't worry about other folks.
Mm. But
Beautiful and well said.
I do think that sometimes there's folks that feel like stay in your lane, like audience. It's like, well, I'm also a person, and I also have reactions to what's happening in the world, and I also am embedded by who I am and how I was raised, and who my people are, who my family is, where I grew up. And sometimes when you speak out about those things, I think there can be this reaction of like, wait, I'm here for music, like and I saw on the news or somewhere on social media where there was a fan that was really upset at Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, and he's like, unfollow, like you've lost a fan because he was speaking out against something, and somebody wrote, which machine did he think he was raging against? That you barely just like realize that this man is like an activist. And it's interesting because I think sometimes we absorb what we want from music, and then you realize like, wait, you're actually saying something, and what you're saying I either agree with or don't. And so we're not here to influence anyone's ideologies, but we are here to state our own, and have those moments, those aha moments, or those moments of like, wait, what do I think about this? How do I feel about this? And it's okay to feel differently. But it's interesting because sometimes when we come out of the role of entertainer, performer, and we're like, this is who I am as a person, this is what I believe, there's sometimes that tension. But I think the tension is where you grow, right? And I think, and even for us, we're like,
Yeah. And I,
internally, we're like, well, do we all agree about this one thing at the same time?
yeah,
Um,
we don't
we
always.
Which
don't
has
always-
to be hard, right? With a group, there's many dynamics, many rhythms to coordinate, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And how do you get through it?
Well, if you're a singer, you get to say it, and if you're the drummer, you don't.
That's terrible.
Depends if
We
you have a
talk about-
microphone or not, huh?
He's like in the closet, like, I don't want to be in this interview. Like, no.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're kind of open. So as long as the people want to try things, there's a song that we do called "Not in Our Name." It's never been recorded, but it's a song that it was a poem that evolved over time, and it's a song about remembering those who have been killed and taken away from us too soon. But it's also about Standing Rock and immigrant folks and Black folks who were taken too soon, and the way we treat each other. It's like we have to remember each other if we're going to survive in this place.
Yeah, I'm
And
thinking, oh, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
the song has evolved over the last 4 years.
Mhm.
And we've never recorded it. You can only hear it if you come to the show.
That's so beautiful. And I'm thinking of the Audre Lorde quote, which is like, there's no such thing as a single-sided issue because there is
Mm.
no such thing as, I'm going to get the rest of it.
A
The
single
quote-
issue, yeah. There's no single issue lives. I'm
I
not
think-
for a single issue, right?
Mhm.
Right. Because everything is so interconnected. And I think that this shows up in your music and it shows up in your identities as you are all navigating multiple different things and weaving it all together. And so that's really beautiful. In this current tour, what are we going to be hearing? You're coming back to California to your roots are in the LA area, correct? But you're
Yes,
coming
yes.
to the Bay Area again soon. So what can we look forward to? What album are we hearing this time? Give us the
Well,
deets.
we're writing a new album that'll be released in the top of 2024, but we're beginning to play songs from that just to be able to
Feel it
play them,
out.
feel them out, play them live.
Let them become what they're supposed to be.
So we're writing the album and we're performing songs live. We're gonna be done with the album by the end of summer. So definitely have that. We have sort of remixes and other works that we're starting to play live that are really great, super fun. We just dropped a remix of Nunca es Suficiente with Natalia Lafourcade. Not with her, but of her song. I know. And we can bring the same. I feel like we've evolved sonically. Like we're not the folk band from 10 years ago. And I feel like we want to like folk the future. We want to like electrify our roots, like we want to be able to bring sort of folk, the sound and the stories, into the future. And so like I think our music is doing that. So sonically, we're evolving as a group, and we've been doing this 15 years, and I feel like I'm just getting started, and that's a wonderful feeling. And so like that's what we're gonna bring that to the Bay.
And I met you when you all had sort of, or several of you had day jobs and this was your other thing. Is this your thing now?
This is the thing.
This is
This is the thing.
Ask our spouses. This is our thing.
Awesome. So just a couple more questions here. So just the elevator pitch, why should somebody who isn't familiar, people who've seen your music and they know that you're coming, they're gonna just buy their ticket and go to the show. If you've never seen you or heard you, why should they come?
Yo, we're the best band you never heard of. Like
Awesome.
we're an amazing band live, and we're gonna take you on a journey from Afro-Mexican to Americana, from jarocho to hip hop, from the past to the future. And so if you're down with that, I'll see you at the dance floor. And if you're not, stay home.
You've got some great one-liners. You're the best band you've never heard of, and we're effing Gardners. I love that. These could be like our headlines. And Denise, do you want to make a pitch too about what people know? Okay. And then I always ask, what does the rhythm of change mean to you, and how does that apply to your life as musicians and as multidimensional people?
Is that a Gloria Estefan song? Is that No. I was thinking the other way. I was thinking.
Which one?
I
I don't know what
I
that's.
don't know.
I'm trying to get it. I was trying to like go with you, but
All right, Ashley. Okay, sure. Ask the question
What's
again.
it? Say that
Okay.
again.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good. And what does the rhythm of change mean to you? And
Oh, wow,
how does
wow,
that
wow.
apply to your craft as musicians, artists, and amazing human beings?
The rhythm of
The Rhythm of
change. Oh,
Change.
snap,
I think
snap.
we figured out our new album name.
Oh, wow, rhythm of change,
Go
right?
give you credit. You're fighting on that.
I'll take it. I'll watch for it.
I know.
Give
You
me a
know,
ticket
I
for the
would
show and
say,
we'll settle it.
Yes, yes.
you know, if you ever do yoga, like if you're ever doing yoga and you're like doing something for the first time, like your legs start to shake and your arms start to shake, right? Because your muscles are trying to get into tune and trying to get in tune,
Hmm.
you know? And so like music is the same way. Like you can be out of tune, you can be in tune, but as long as you're trying, there's no harm. You know, like life is not with like if we're talking about rhythm and music, there's a lot of people who say like, there's a right way or wrong way. We're a great epitome of the wrong way to make music. We started late, we're not trained, you
We
know,
messed up.
we mess up
We
all the
laugh and we
time.
keep going.
Our we play our instruments and vocals get out of tune. And so like there's that quote I always like. It says, I think I don't know who said it, but it says, to play a note out of tune is forgivable, but to play a note without soul is unforgivable. So as long as you do something and you're rolling with love and like intention, you're all right. You keep, even if you're out of tune. And so if we're talking about rhythm and change, just keep on going. Not everything that is just is always in tune with the people. And we got to get there. Like even if your voice shakes, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll get there and we'll get in tune. Like, and music helps us, but it's not the only thing, you know?
Dang, all deep.
That's
Dang.
beautiful. Denise, what do you want to add?
Nah, speaking attitude.
Yesterday, our musical director told our booking agent a really great story. We were playing at the San Francisco Monterey Jazz Fest, and there's the song "Not in Our Name" that's very specific. We use the backing track. At some point, folks stopped hearing it in their in-ear monitors. The track was going. The musicians were going on a whole different track, and it got really messy.
A train wreck.
It was a train wreck on stage. We were freaking out, but we all kept going to the best ability. And it was so wild. There was a point of no return. And there's a point where the audience was grooving and then kind of stopped and was like, and they started standing up and giving us a standing ovation. It was the best response to this song. That was the messiest time that we were freaking out and we're like, we're gonna get there, we're gonna get there. And it was crazy. And by the end, people were crying and clapping and probably thought we were very sophisticated musicians.
Polyrhythmic.
Something. And something happened inside where we weren't going, like he was saying, you weren't going with the rhythm, it wasn't the correct way to do it, but it was messy and it was something that activated the soul, the spirit, where people were crying and laughing and clapping and just like, yes. There was a moment where we all meshed together and nothing made sense. And I think with rhythm, when there's a rhythm of change, there has to be an interruption. You have to disrupt something to create something new, to hatch something new. And I think that this is what we do. I think that we don't always do it perfectly. And because we're not trained musicians, we're able to explore in a way that's uncomfortable.
And or like if you had like perfect pitch or you're a musician,
you'd be like,
you're like,
wait,
yo,
that's
you
not
don't
the way you
don't
do
do
it.
that.
And we do it differently. And I think that when you want change, you can't just have a model to do it. It can't be perfect. It can't be comfortable. And even in your body, there's a difference, right? There's not always in rhythm. The rhythm changes and sometimes you have to flow with it versus, decide what the rhythm is. And so I think we
are fish swimming upstream.
Okay, yes, let's do that. Speaking of, it's raining, crazy.
I know.
This is so beautiful. And by the way, speaking of rhythm and variables that are out of our control, I don't know if you can hear it, but outside of my apartment complex is like the loudest sound ever in the background. It's a background track here. But I think about it because I do a drumming circle with my students in my day job. I have multiple jobs, like you guys did many years ago. And I do a rhythm circle or a drumming circle, and I'm always trying to explain that thing that you just explained to me so beautifully. Like if you're doing a drumming circle, you don't stop and say you're wrong. You adjust your collective rhythm. And that was such a beautiful way of articulating that. And I wish I could have seen this moment. It sounds magical. and transformative.
Yeah, we're traumatized a little, but yes, let's go with magical. Let's go with magical.
No struggle,
but
no
There is
story.
magic in the messiness, though. There's
yeah.
magic in the mess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's well, it's like you know, be like grass, stay grounded, but go with the wind. And if like sometimes, yeah, I think you said it was like you're in too deep, and it's like you know, you can stop, you can complain, or you can roll and get to the end. And it's not always pretty, just like life.
You have to carry each other, and that's what we do. Like what we on stage, we just like we go with each other, we carry each other, and we make it to the end together. And I like that. I like what you say. If you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to,
Go far, go with others.
That's so beautiful. And I asked you this question a decade ago, and I'm going to ask you again, but it's okay because you don't remember that one. So we're going to get a fresh response. The most important lesson that you've learned until today in your life journeys.
Oh, I've already said it. I think I said
Oh,
like four
man.
of them. I think I said four of them. All right, I'll drop another one.
Wow.
The best sailors come from the worst storms. So in order to be good, you know, to on your journey, you're gonna go through a lot of shitty days and a lot of storms, but that's actually what gives you the wisdom to, you know, to be an elder one day. And so appreciate it, embrace it, sit with it, and keep going.
Beautiful.
I like that a lot. I think for me, it's like you're so much more than who you decided you are.
Mm.
I love that. So
Mhm.
people can follow you on your website. Tell us all the ways to keep an eye on you and your work.
Oh wow. I think yeah,
Lascafeteras.com.
yeah. YouTube, we have super cute music videos. We are on TikTok. We're doing
We
that
are.
TikTok thing.
Where
We
can
are,
you stay with the youth?
you
You
know.
with the
And yeah, and then Facebook. I mean the OGs,
well,
right?
Instagram is where we're most active.
Yeah.
Las Cafeteras on Instagram. What are we on TikTok? Las Cafeteras?
Yeah, everything's Las
Everything
Cafeteras.
Cafeteras? All right.
And your music is people can find it if they wanted to purchase it for download or even get a CD for people who
Yeah,
still
if you
have
want to,
CD players.
if you want to support the band, you can go to Bandcamp, and our music's on Bandcamp, and you can, you know, purchase it however much you want. But then we're on all the streaming platforms as well. We have amazing merch, movement merch on our website. So if you go lascafeteras.com, we have some really, really great movement merch on there.
Here we go with one.
Oh, there's one right here.
Ooh.
Best was not borders, you know. Yeah,
Ooh, I like it. I
yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
And
this
so
can
we
be
have
found
it
on your website.
all on the website, and we'll be coming to the Bay. So we're really excited about it. And Sharon, I hope you chop up this interview.
I will. I can't wait to see you. And I'll be there when you're here. I'll be at your show. It's only I have no excuse. It's 9 for me and 6 a.m. for you all. So thank you for getting up the morning after a show. Thanks for taking time to hang out this morning. I really appreciate it and can't wait to see you guys in person.
All right, Sharon. We'll see you soon. And I sent you the pictures.
Got him.
You got them. Okay, great.
All right. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.